How can HR and employees manage conflicts within the workplace, especially with the multi-generational workforce that is currently present in the workplace?
All right, that's a great question and a timely one. I think because of the recent financial crisis, there's a lot more stress and unease in the workplace. There's limited resources, tough decisions are being made, and all of this can increase the level of tension and conflict in the workplace. One of the major sources of conflict in an office environment is over-resources. There's always a finite number of resources, and different departments and interests are competing for these resources. Now the resources are even more limited, so there's a heightened sense of urgency and more likely to have more conflicts in the workplace as a result. Conflict resolution and managing conflicts is generally a communications problem. If you've got the skills to understand the other person, if you're a good listener, if you're asking the right questions, you're a lot more likely to resolve the conflict successfully. There are also some conflict resolution techniques, such as being able to mediate conflicts, that can be learned and that can be usefully employed in the workplace as well as out of it.
Can you provide an example of how someone could mediate, a solution?
Okay, so maybe you have two departments or two managers that have conflicting ideas about how to use resources, or maybe how to allocate some layoffs that have to be made. Obviously, this is a very hot button issue. Both of them have a great sense of the importance of their need and maybe an inflated sense of their importance overall. You need to understand each side's position. More important than understanding your position is understanding the interests that might lie underneath the position, things that may not be obvious. How to uncover these interests. Once you've identified the interests, it isn't just simply a matter of evaluating them and deciding that one side is more worthy than the other. You have emotions involved. You have egos, people's need to maintain face, to be seen as right or as team players, and all these other intangibles that make it more conflicting. So whatever solution you implement needs to be done so with sensitivity and with an understanding of the personalities involved. Each side has to go back to their own constituents and explain the result. So you really want to find a win-win. And finding the win-win is something we always talk about, but unfortunately it's easier said than done. So you can learn certain techniques for mediating or for negotiating conflicts that are more likely to get you the win-win. Things like being a better listener. Things like trying to understand the other side's interests as well as your own. Things like coming out with a creative solution that may not occur to you in the first instance. And usually that's a function of how effectively you communicate, how effectively you understand the other person.
Okay.